The one, the only, the famous animal-style In-N-Out burger. We're making it in the home kitchen. Let's go. So I haven't posted to this series in a little while. This is the quest for the perfect burger. We're making burgers. And so I think a great place to jump back into this series is with the In-N-Out burger. In-N-Out is famously only on the west coast of the United States. I think it's in 7 states, maybe 8 states. And there's some long-winded explanations for why this is, about them wanting to be only several hundred miles from one of their meat distribution plants. Anyone on the eastern United States or living outside the United States like I do can't get the In-N-Out burger. When I went to Vegas, it was one of the first things that I did. If you haven't tried it, believe me, it definitely lives up to its name as one of the best burgers in the entire world. But they just make a classic American-style burger really, really well. So today we are going to try and replicate the In-N-Out burger. If you go to In-N-Out, you have to get your burger animal style. It was actually a bit of an interesting story. It was created by the founder of In-N-Out, Harry Snyder. He wanted a way to amplify an already good product. So what they did was created a sauce, a spread, I think they call it. They mustard rubbed the patties, and one of my favorite parts is they added confit onions, a fantastic addition to any burger, and a really, really soft potato bun. They were trying to create a more appealing burger, and they did. It's fantastic. Customers loved it. It is one of the iconic burgers that you can get in the United States. So let's jump in the kitchen and let's start creating our own animal-style In-N-Out burger. We are starting with a potato to make potato buns. Put a large pot of water. I'm going to boil my potatoes so that we can add them to our dough. Just starting to come to a boil, add my potatoes. Lid goes on top, and then I'm gonna turn this down to about medium or so. This should take about 8 to 10 minutes. They're supposed to be really, really tender at this point. They're not bad, but they could use a few more minutes. All right, these are done. I'm gonna save a little bit of the cooking liquid. I'm gonna pass my potatoes through my food mill. You could use, one of those hand mashers or even a ricer if you have those, but my food mill works pretty well. We've got our pseudo mashed potatoes. I'm gonna add some melted butter. Stir this around. And a little bit of the cooking water that I reserved. I have something that's smooth, sort of resembles mashed potatoes. I'm gonna set this aside to cool just slightly. I'm gonna use the dough hooks that come with my mixer. I'm gonna add some bread flour, some white sugar, a little bit of salt. I'm using instant yeast or bread making yeast. If you're gonna use active dry yeast, make sure you activate it first. An egg, and my potato mixture. I'm gonna mix this on low speed or so for about 8 minutes. This is pulling away from the slides. This is pulling away from the sides, so it is ready to go. Turn this off. This off. Little neutral flavored oil. Just turn it a bit so everything's coated. Gonna cover this, let it rise in a warm place for an hour or so. So you might be thinking at this point, why did we even bother including potatoes in our bun? Because I think a brioche style bun, which is sort of made more traditionally with flour and eggs and water and yeast, but the addition of potatoes does a couple of things for us. Essentially what it comes down to is it's going to create a softer and fluffier bun. So basically the potatoes absorb more water than other wheat starches, like if you were using just sort of regular flour, or like we did bread flour. We use bread flour because we want to have some texture to this. By including potatoes, basically create a more moist bun. And that's pretty appealing in a burger because you get something that's really, really soft. And hopefully that's what we're gonna end up with. These buns, in addition to being really soft and really moist, are gonna rise a lot faster. And these buns are gonna last a little bit longer. They're gonna stay softer, where the traditional burger bun starts getting stale really, really quickly. These are gonna last a bit longer. Potato buns, if you haven't tried them on a burger, you know, I'm not gonna say they're better, but they certainly have their time and their place. And I think in this recipe, they are certainly something that is more delicious and better than the brioche style. So after about an hour, our bread should have doubled in size, you know, at least. Now, probably the most satisfying part of bread making, I'm gonna punch out the air. Gonna portion this into the size of bun that I want. Since I'm gonna do a double stack burger, I want these to be a little bit smaller than maybe a traditional bun. I think I'm gonna go about 95 grams for each bun. See how that works. Way too much. 95. To form this into a bun, hold it in your two hands and pull out. Now fold that onto itself and then go the opposite direction. Pull out and fold onto itself. Flip it over and then using your pinky fingers, press together until you form a tight seam. One bun ready to go. So I ended up with 10 buns, but I'm only gonna put 6 on the rack because these are going to keep expanding because we're going to let them rise for another 30 minutes. The only thing I'm gonna do before that is I wanna press these down slightly. You don't have to do this, but the buns end up being really quite tall and they can be a little bit challenging to get an entire bite of your burger in one bite. So I'm just gonna press them down lightly with my hand. Not too far, just a little bit. Back under the towel for 30 minutes. Confit onions are one of my favorite things in the entire world. Basically, what we're gonna do for this recipe is we are gonna use the French onion soup technique of creating really, really dark and really, really sweet onions that have been cooked for a really, really long time. There's a little trick that if you've ever made French onion soup, you'll know how to do once we get into this recipe. Let's show you the foolproof way to make confit onions that you can put on your burger. I'm gonna use a mix of a yellow onion, just a regular onion. And I'm gonna add some shallots, mostly because this is the only onion that I have left, and I wanna make sure I have enough. You know, mixing and matching onions can give you a different type of flavor, but I think In-N-Out is just using yellow onions. So we're going off book a little bit. Got my chopped onion and my chopped shallot. Let's take these to the stove. Into a frying pan, little bit of oil, and I'm gonna heat this over medium-high heater. So, we don't want this to go as far as smoking. We want it to be shimmering a little bit. Looks like we're just about there. Pinch of salt. That's gonna help draw out some of the water and also give it a little bit of flavor. Reduce my heat to medium-low. And I'm basically very, very slowly going to cook these down until they turn a really dark brown. You know, these have just slightly started to change color. They are starting to sizzle and stick to the pan a bit. So I need to still cook these probably for about another 20 minutes. To solve the sticking problem, I'm just gonna add a little bit of water, about a tablespoon or so. And just leave these to cook. Your patience will be rewarded. I'm probably gonna need to do that 2 or maybe even 3 more times. So this took about 30 minutes, but I've got something really, really dark that's falling off my spatula. I'll get that in a second. Really dark, really sweet, perfect for our animal style burgers. Let's set this aside. So our buns have finished their second rise and they are basically ready to go in the oven. We have one more thing to do. We're gonna brush them with a bit of egg wash. Light as possible here, trying not to deflate the bun. So now you could sprinkle these with sesame seeds, poppy seeds, really anything that you want. I'm gonna leave them plain because I think that's more in the In-N-Out tradition. Throw these in the oven, 375, 200 or so Celsius, till they're golden brown. I think that's gonna take about 12 to 15 minutes. We have our own homemade potato bun, perfect for our animal style burger. Now these need to rest for 5 or 10 minutes or so, which is gonna leave us enough time to create the animal sauce. Spread or sauce? They call it a spread, I think, but let's make it. So this sauce is super easy to make. Start off with mayonnaise, ketchup, chopped up pickles, a little bit of sugar, and some white wine vinegar. And just stir it all together. I almost forgot a little bit of paprika. Now stir it to combine. That's ready for our burgers. Speaking of which, it's time to start grilling. It's almost burger time. The only thing that we have left to do is to make our patties. And I'm taking the easy way out in this recipe. I'm just going to use store-bought ground beef. I'm not gonna grind the beef myself. I'm not gonna get the butcher to grind it for me, but we can still make a really, really good burger with store-bought ground beef. There are two things that I do that take it from being just sort of okay to really taking it to the next level. Let's jump in the kitchen and let's make the patties for our In-N-Out burger. Start with 2 forks and just pull this apart a bit. You can see it's sort of in these long strains. What I would prefer, sort of little almost cubes. So I'm gonna run 2 forks through it for just a couple of seconds. So the last thing I'm gonna do is a little trick for burgers. I'm gonna add a little bit of powdered gelatin. This is gonna just amp up the flavor of these, gonna make them a little more delicious, especially when we're using store-bought beef. This can really make a big difference. All right, let's make our patties. I want them to be smaller patties, but I'm gonna do 2 of them and make the double-double, I think they call it. 2 2-ounce patties. Okay, that's 1. And then season these with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'll do the other side when it goes in the pan. Medium-high heat, a little bit of neutral flavored oil. And once this starts smoking, add in my patty. Season on this side. Now, one of the keys to the animal-style burger is there is yellow mustard on top of this. Slice of American cheese. After it's been cooking for about another minute, my onion mixture goes on top. And these are basically done. Stack this on top of there. And let's take this out. I almost completely forgot we need to toast our bun. Gonna add a touch more oil. And then add my potato bun, cut side down. These are ready to go. Burger time. Start off with my burger sauce. A little bit on each side of the bun. A few slices of pickle, tomato, a leaf of iceberg lettuce, our double stack patty. I am very excited to eat this. I mean, it's massive. I mean, that's the shot you're supposed to get, right? That's the In-N-Out sort of shot there. Anyway, let's give it a try. That is so good. And you can just see how fluffy this bun is. It makes a really, really big difference. If you've ever had an In-N-Out burger before, you know it's really good. I think we did a pretty good job of coming pretty close to one of the best burgers in the world. That's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button. It really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Aside from that, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I don't care if it's not great for me. This burger's outstanding. So good. People in In-N-Out really know what they're doing. Having another bite.